all of those things, when I had mentioned it earlier, those are all those little tidbits that I could have used as a stumbling block at any point and said, you know what, I'm done. I quit.
So I can tell this about you. I presume that now in life, you definitely don't get too low on the lows, right?
Absolutely
You
not.
felt it to the mass capacity in some senses. Is it hard for you to get super excited or hopeful when you win? Or do you still get...
Oh, I still get beside myself for every little one of them.
Good. Okay, so you do.
Every single one of those. The part that I've probably learned the most is to not allow myself to get too down, because knowing that someone is watching out for me, and he's not going to let me, put more on me than I can bear. And obviously, there's much worse that could come at any moment, in my life. But I know that I can survive it because I have that strength.
Before we get started today, I would be remiss if I did not thank our partners over at Proper Creative. Proper Creative is a production on demand company, and they monetize e-commerce platforms. They have a marketing powerhouse team from graphic designers, web development, photographers, videographers, market analysis, digital marketing strategists, and of course, social media experts. They help companies from development of content and products to the execution of digital strategies for e-commerce. They provide both full service and a la carte services for businesses that sell direct to the consumers. For me today, I am wearing a Proper Creative branded shirt. This is the Level Up Podcast shirt. You can get it. And this is something that we send to all of our guests that come on our show. Our partners send them a gift package, and it's brought to you by Proper Creative. Thank you so much. You can follow them on social media, Instagram primarily, at PROPR Creative. Again, they're an LA-based company, so they do things a little bit cooler than most. They spell proper, PROPR Creative. Follow them on social media, Instagram, and give a shout out. Thank you so much, again, to our brand partners, Proper Creative. Welcome to another week of Level Up with Matt Rogers. I am your host, Matt Rogers. With me, as always, is the man with the golden Just for Men beard, co-EP, producer, engineer, president of Just for Men, Eli Adelman. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, dude. Are you pumped today, as always?
I'm very excited. I always love when we have musicians on the show.
Oh, snap. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Ready or not, here it comes.
Hey, we got a freaking winning musician.
Dude, for real.
And a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Speaking of winning, I can't help but notice you're dressed a little bit different today.
Thank you. I am dressed different.
A fan.
I am not wearing my normal Level Up swag, but I am wearing my new employer swag. I've been a fan my whole life, and now I am part of the team, the Tennessee Titans.
Look at you, baby.
I'm the first-round draft pick. I'm going to be starting in place of Derrick Henry at running back.
Dude, call your chiropractor.
No, I'm joking, man. I'm pumped. I just got announced as their PA announcer, which honestly is a dream come true for me. I've been watching, games my whole life from TV and then as a season ticket holder. And they rolled out a competition, very American Idol style, where we had to submit an audition tape and then become a finalist, go in front of judges. And they announced me on Wednesday last week that I was the winner.
Dude, so good. And it was it was cool to watch because there's some great contestants, but dude, I mean, you do what you do really well. So,
well, God bless you.
I'm excited.
Are you biased because we work together and you feel like
not
you
at
have
all.
to say that?
I would tell you straight up if I thought you sucked.
You really would.
Yeah.
Eli really would tell me straight up if he thought I sucked, because he tells me all the time, like, dude, you really sucked right here and you need to get better. And I love you. I appreciate that. But we won.
Dude.
We're expanding our brand. We're expanding our reach, and we're still one of the fastest growing podcasts in 2021.
Yep.
Thank you to everybody. How many countries are we in now? You're the analytics guy.
Like 1 million. I think we're up to 25 or something like that.
25. So we were 21 a couple weeks ago. Now we're 25 countries.
Yep. Conquering the world.
Do you know the new ones? Last time it was like Brazil and Dubai.
I think we got Czech Republic is in there.
Who are you from the Czech Republic?
Dude,
Thank you.
Like Hong Kong's in there.
Hong Kong?
I don't know, man.
Let's go.
It's cool. So
it's exciting.
A lot of Canadians.
Hey, Hong Kong needs to level up. Canada, I love you. Canada's been good to me.
Yep.
It's been good to me. I love people.
Yeah.
We are winning. And someone who is not a stranger to winning competitions, my good friend, I met Craig Wayne Boyd. Well, I saw him from the cheap seats when he won season 7 of The Voice. And I don't know, man, like there's some people that you're just like, I want to be that guy's friend. And he was that guy. Like he just looked like a good dude. And then fast forward, when we moved out here to Tennessee, he was playing at the Grand Ole Opry. I reached out to him. No, I saw him on a news outlet when I was out here doing a news outlet, and he was just the coolest guy. And we became friends. We can talk about that. But let me officially intro him, my friend Craig Wayne Boyd.
Yeah. How are you, man?
House. Dude, I'm good.
I'm sporting my my love for you.
Did you honestly? Did you wear that for me?
I did.
I love you,
just
bro.
for you.
Just
No, I thought, you know, my aspirations have been like I wanted to be a radio DJ like in high school and stuff like that. And I love your voice. And I was like, you know what? Maybe he needs a sidekick on this gig.
Yes, I need a spotter.
See, I'm your Huckleberry.
You're my Huckleberry?
Yes.
I have, I don't know how the whole spotter thing works. We're going to find out, but I know that they're going to have an amazing team for me. But I'm pumped. I have
the jersey to cover it, man. It's got my name on the
I
back
love
and
you,
everything.
dude, it does. So who got you that?
Doing the national anthem at the stadium. It was really cool.
When you do the anthem, do you go like big or do you keep it low? Because like I did the anthem a couple times and I stay low and then I hit the, land of the free. I hit that big, but do you go big the whole time? Or?
Man, I stick more traditional with it. Just straight up sing the song and pay homage. That's where I like to stick it at.
So off the top of your head, like what key do you start out at?
Usually key of D.
What does that sound like?
Oh, say,
see, that's high.
You see, right in there.
I go low. I go, oh, say, can you see? Because if I start there, I'm screwed by the time it comes to the middle. I couldn't start. So what key am I in? I really don't know how to read music. Oh, hey.
Man, don't give me the line, but I would say that's
you?
probably around A.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to say.
So A's lower in key than D.
For a male, that would be, what is it? A, B, C. There you go. Four whole steps higher.
Yeah. Nice. And I start low because when I get to the big one, I'm like, oh, the land of free. I can hit that, but if I start, where do you start?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
right
then if I did that, oh, the land of free, I couldn't do. I would be screwed.
Dude, who was that guy that just totally blew it years ago? Was that a basketball game? Oh man,
it was good.
It was so bad. Like he hit it way too high and like.
Oh, dude, that is the scariest part.
Can you
making sure that you don't start too high? I did at the Nashville Sounds. I started up in E, which is a whole step higher, and I got nervous. I got about 3/4 of the way through. I was like, dude, this is going to be high. But I nailed it.
You nailed it?
Like, yes. Because I don't know. I normally, that's my safe zone. Key of D, that's where I know that I can hit all my vocal licks up high and not stress about it.
Because people don't realize, like, once you start that song, especially the anthem, you're thinking, like, for me, that was like one of the songs I'm thinking
just
in my head.
You don't mess up the words.
Yeah.
That's the worst video to ever get out.
I know other songs I just sing, but when it came to anthem, you're thinking, did I start right? I don't know. Like, is that what it was like for you? So when you start out too high, were you like, oh crap?
Oh yeah. It's been, I was a little nervous about it, but like I said, it was funny. There's a video out there somewhere. I think it's on Instagram, and my kiddos were up in the box watching, and they was like screaming, "Daddy, Daddy, there's Daddy!" I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
And then if you would have messed up, they would have been, no, him.
That's not my daddy.
That's not my dad. That's someone else. So you just had another kid. Congratulations, a baby girl. Tell everybody about her. Man,
I'm so pumped about it. It's having a new little baby girl around, which is the last. It's number 5 for me.
I don't believe you.
Oh, it is. The wifey's already called the doctor for me.
Really? No, so this is number 5?
Oh yeah, this is number 5. So I have Jackson, who's 8, from a previous relationship, and then we have Dakota. She's 5. Remember names. Graydon, who's 3. Boston, who's 1, and then Blakely. We got Blakely K.
Look at you.
It's a new one.
I didn't know you were a Mormon. It's awesome. No, honestly, congratulations. So thanks, 5.
Yeah, it's going to be a house full. Daddy's got to make some money soon.
Dude, right? So now your house is 7.
Yes, house of 7.
That's rad, dude.
Which is crazy because that means that there's no visitors can ride with us anymore in the
Oh
car.
my God. See, those are little things that you don't think about.
Right.
Like
That's
unless
true.
I go get a 15 passenger van or a big Sprinter or something like that, which Mercedes, I'm looking for a sponsorship.
There you go. You don't strike me as like a minivan guy though, but you can
No.
do the Mercedes like van.
Yeah, you know the Sprinter. We
those
could
are
pull that
so
off.
smooth.
That'd be nice.
So, dude, I'm so pumped. Like I was telling, introing you, I saw you on The Voice as a finalist. I was there with another couple. Terry and I were there with another couple, the Weavers. It was just such an awesome night. And we had so much fun that night, man. And as you nailed it. That song that they had for you was awesome. And I'm like, I like that guy. Like I was a fan of yours. And then fast forward, I don't know what it was, like a couple years later, I was doing some press thing out here in Tennessee and I saw you at the news station.
Yeah, sure enough.
And, it's one of those things where we're like, I really like the guy. I'm going to introduce him. And I just kind of read people. Like I'll go up and shake their hands if I want to meet them. And it just, from there, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to ask this guy, like, dude, I'd like to freaking kick it with you one day. Like I want to be this guy's friend. And you were just open. And
Absolutely.
we were friends after that. And
I remember that distinctly too, man. I was like, dude, this guy's cool. That's what I loved thinking. It was like, we'll see if he actually ever calls, but he's a cool cat. And then sure enough, you did.
And see you, and when you call someone, you got to bring something to the table. And I always like to try to add value to build relationships first, because someone like Craig Wayne Boyd, you're fresh off The Voice, season 7, like everybody wants something from him.
Right.
I like to come in different. This is a tip for people. Bring something to the table first. So when I reached out to him, I said, hey, I have a cool opportunity for you. I'm on the show Home and Family. I want to do a segment where I come to Nashville and I want to highlight you. Are you doing any shows? He's like, yeah, dude, I'm at the Grand Ole Opry. And I'm like, really? So we did, we filmed a show, not a show, a segment. And like Craig Wayne Boyd got me backstage, me and Terry, Grand Ole Opry. It was phenomenal. He obviously nailed it. And then that went back on Home and Family. And then you actually made a couple guest appearances on there too.
Yeah, we got to go out and do, I don't know, I think I've been on there like 4 or 5 times now, thanks to you.
I know, dude, they love him.
It was so fun.
They love him. But you could see a guy like you up easy. Like, you know how to cook, you're smart, you have a hard work ethic, and you're an unbelievable musician. And
well, you're very kind, man.
You're a good man. And then I think the pinnacle for me, for our relationship, Craig Wayne Boyd started a new band, Texas Hill, which he'll talk about right now. But when we had our fundraiser for cystic fibrosis for our 2 kids in 2019, it was our first event. Without hesitation, Craig's like, bring me in. I'll do it. And they freaking killed it.
Yeah, that was our very first performance in front of people other than in our living room at that point. And that was the debut of Texas Hill was at that event.
It was. And everyone in the room that night became huge, huge fans. A real close friend of ours and a big supporter, her name's Judy Burlingham. She loves you. And she is a connected lady. Like, she's the type of lady, she makes stuff happen. So keep her close.
There we go.
Because she really, really loves you guys. And that night, Eli, our goal was $30,000. After everyone was in the room, my kids knocked it out of the park. My wife knocked it out of the park. In Texas Hill, Craig Wayne Boyd knocked it out of the park. We ended up raising $147,000.
Are you kidding me?
That was
it was great.
Dude.
It was an amazing night.
It was great. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I never said this to you before, and this is true, because it was my first fundraiser that I've ever put on. And I thought it was a really cool move, and I'm going to pay you back, but he never charged me.
No, man.
And he did it for free. And when I was crunching all the numbers, I'm like, well, because it's not my money, it goes to the organization. I'm like, well, we should have paid him something, and I messed up there. So I'm sorry.
No, man, that's what.
But
I told you that was what it was for.
I know, but I love you. But
cystic fibrosis is something that's close to my heart. Also, we have that common connection. Which
tell me
crazy.
about that.
Incidentally, when I first moved to Nashville, I hooked in with a guy named Levi Sims and another one, Cole Lee, and started a vocal group back then. And then from that, then I did a solo career, and now I'm back to doing a vocal group again, which was something that I always loved. But I didn't know, and none of us knew that Levi had cystic fibrosis. And we were in the studio recording an album, and he backed out. Literally, we were on the precipice of having a brand new record deal and everything. And he was like, I'm out, and didn't understand it, couldn't figure it out. But we knew that he was always coughing and having, issues breathing, but his voice was like angelic. And he finally told us that he had cystic fibrosis. And it was about 6 months later that I had to be a pallbearer. And it was, so that was something that was like literally losing my brother. So it was, and that was before, they had all the treatments and things that are out now. So that's why I wanted to be a part of that.
Dude, I appreciate it. So, I mean, you
don't mean to get all down and stuff, but
no, you really did a lot for him.
Touched a lot.
What? So, like, what was? Because I want to know. I'm always curious. I always ask a ton of questions. Like, so, like, what was that like? He says, "I'm out." Like, is there like that big? Like, do you go see him in the hospital and he's like, "This is why," or does he just tell you or email you? Like, how did he break the news that he had CF?
He had got put in the hospital. Literally, you're right. He got put in the hospital. I was so angry. I didn't know what was going on and why. I was like, man, you're ruining my life. Right. We're supposed to be brothers. We're in this together. And now you're just leaving us and not giving me a reason why. And I didn't understand it. And then when I got called that he was in the hospital, and he was like, yeah, man, this is what's going on. But luckily enough, in fact, that album, I went ahead and put out an album during that time, from transitioning from Southland to Craig Wayne Boyd. I added my middle name at that point. I had him come in and he sang, I think it was about a month before he passed. He sang on Some Bridges Don't Burn, which is the whole, and he played all the lead guitar parts on it and everything. It was
a month before he passed away.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It was hard. It was hardcore.
I was gonna say he must have been feeling like crap.
Yeah, he was having a hard time breathing, but man, he got the notes out. It was,
God bless him.
But yeah, if you ever listen to the I Ain't No Quitter album that I put out, that's Levi singing on Some Bridges Don't Burn.
Well, there you go. I'm definitely going to listen to that, and I'm sure people listening will too. So take me back to the beginning, because I came into your life after you won The Voice. I didn't really know your backstory. Like, people always think like, oh, he won The Voice, and that, and then it goes from there. It's like, no, dude, you're walking into someone's life at a chapter in their life. You don't know the whole freaking story, because I know you. You're one of the hardest working guys that I know. And one thing that I admire about you that I try to be like is you never know what this is going to turn into next. Like, everything is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
Every win, every loss is just a step to the next thing. And you never really like arrive. Even when we win and lose, I came into your life after a huge victory, but take us back before The Voice, your life. Like, did you always know you were going to be a musician and like all of that?
For me, I started playing music at the ripe old age of 4. I've been playing and singing since then. My dad put a mandolin in my hands. He pulled like 4 of the strings off, and that's where I started at. And growing up, music was just part of my life, period. In fact, my first job I ever had was contract labor at a guitar store, going in after school or getting out work release, I actually did work though. I got work release at 14 years old, man, and would go in and tune guitars and like change strings and stuff like that at the music store, paying me contract labor under the table. Here you go, man.
So you're not really there for the money. You're there for the passion.
I was there because I was like, dude, I get to make money doing something fun. This is cool. But so that was always, part of my life. And I always thought that was something that I wanted to do. But incidentally, working at that store, there was a gentleman there named Bob Spear, and he's just a super intelligent guy. And I worked for him for about 3 or 4 years through high school. And he would always tell me, he was like, Craig, life is made up of all these tidbits that happen. And whatever, you can take those, you can use them as stumbling blocks, or you can use them as stepping stones. And that's something that, because I would go in, we'd have coffee together, all the good stuff. And those are things that always stuck in my brain.
That's awesome.
And moving forward, I didn't know, I ran away from country music and even from the church music. I had an issue that had happened at the church, and kind of stepped away from that and chased after the rock music stuff. And that's kind of where I, was like, all right.
So what?
I want to rebel against that.
The church, I was going to say, you were in the church, you love the Lord, but you also love rock music. And were you in a place where it's like, well, you can't do rock music or you're not going to go to heaven?
Growing up in that kind of church, yes. So it was very much saying that if you put yourself up in front of people, then you're putting yourself up as an idol, and that's not Christ-like. And so it was something that I, even to this day, have to deal with. And it's funny how that journey has, actually, I progressed a lot after The Voice, from that, but I'll get to that part for you.
No, that's a fascinating. Like, what do you think, Eli? Because I mean, you and I talk about this a lot. Like, how do you? Because we love music. I love making people laugh. Craig's an unbelievable performer, and like, is that making yourself an idol when you're performing for real? Because people are cheering for you. Like when he's playing a rock song, they're not praising God.
Right.
Yeah.
What's your view on that?
Man, I don't think it's lifting yourself up as an idol. I mean, I think music is healing in so many ways for so many people. So if you're not, you know, out there doing shows and stuff, how are people gonna see
Yeah,
you? Or
that's
learn
that's
about
one
your
of the things
music
that
and
I had to come to grips with, and talking with a lot of different ministers and things. They were like, Jesus had followers, and we're supposed to be Christ-like. If we're not putting that example out there for people to, to draw people into whatever it is that, I've always tried to keep all the music that I did at least have a positive message to it, or have some kind of redemption quality at the end of the story or whatever it was that I was singing.
Right.
So with that being in mind, I was like, okay, then maybe this is okay to do.
No, this is a fascinating subject. I've never really thought about it this way, and this is just coming to me. Like, first of all, I know how much you love the Lord. I love the Lord, and Eli loves the Lord. The Bible says He'll give you the desires of your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you say you start loving music at 4. That didn't come from the world. Like that came from God. Like that desire came from God. And I believe He'll give you the desires of your heart. And if you're faithful to Him in the desires that He gives you, He'll just keep elevating you. And when it becomes about you, then that's where I think it gets, a little, off track. But if you're using that to parlay that into, yeah, but I'm also a man of God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's, A-okay.
yeah, totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is too, like the people who say like, oh, you're making yourself an idol. It's like, those are the same people who make certain people that they like idols.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. I think it could be that way in so many ways, even to putting people up, that are ministers and we're almost basically worshiping a minister versus worshiping God. And that was something that, again, that was stuff that I had to deal with. And I know it sounds crazy dealing with that at 17, 18 years old, but I was. And so that's what kind of steered me away to walk away from the church, because I knew I would have the long conversations with my mom, who is a beautiful soul and prayer warrior. And if I ever need anything, I'm like, I know my mom was praying for me,
So she didn't judge you.
She was upset at me a little bit, but I told her, I said, Mom, my part where I'm having the issue is that I don't feel like I was called to preach to the choir. I feel like I was called to give a message to the world, not just the church. And so that was, for me to get all that out of my brain, I had to step away for a minute. I turned in my keys at the church and was like, I'm done. And through that right there, I had gotten married and I ended up going through a bad divorce. It's like, what are you going to do, Craig?
Right.
And so from the rock music that I was doing, I found myself living a country song, and growing up with a dad that played country music. My mom was the gospel lady. I was like, all right, I think it's time to go to Nashville. I want to go there. I want to learn how to write these songs that I love.
Yeah.
And what better way than to go to the School of Hard Knocks in Nashville, Tennessee?
What year was this?
That would have been 2004 for me.
Awesome.
So this is, what is this? That's 10 years before The Voice that we're at this point.
That you're just grinding, writing music, playing shows. And just going back to real quick, before we move on from there, I think there's a huge difference between walking away from the church and walking away from God.
Exactly. And that was the big deal. I never questioned who God was, but I questioned the organization and the things that around it, which it's funny that when you look at it from a younger person's eyes, which I was at that point, and the view that I see it from now as being, older,
right?
It's crazy to see the difference in perspective. And I found that when I was looking at it, it was like, man, the people in the church are just so judgmental, and they're like being very aggressive and all of that stuff. And then I realized, because of growing up in church, that's what I thought church was all about.
Right.
And then I get into the real world and I realize it's the same thing, except out here I have no hope. Here I do.
Let's go. Let me ask you this too, because at that time you're young and your parents, they love you more than anything. They were just worried about you. And that was the tradition and belief that they were brought up in. And you didn't talk too much about it. Maybe your mom was a little disappointed, but what's something, and I'm thinking of the moms who are listening right now or the dads that maybe they feel like their kids are walking away from the way they were brought up or God or the church, whatever. What could they say? Like, what would you have said to you that could have been the biggest encouragement at the time that maybe someone either did or didn't say to you that kept you close to God, even though you'd walked away from the church?
That God still loves me no matter what. That it wasn't about the actions. It wasn't about the works, if you will. And I think I used the quotes correctly that time. It's like sometimes you get off on the quotes, but yeah, it's not just the actions, but it's where the heart's at and the meaning behind that. And I think if I had known more of that God wasn't just pushing me away, or I didn't have a heart after God or something of the sort, which was what I had been told. Because no one knows my heart other than me and God. That's the two people that do. And if I had understood that, I think a little bit more, maybe those situations I wouldn't have taken them the way that I did. But I'm glad that I did at this point.
Right.
Because I learned a lot. Yeah.
So
I made it to the other side.
Right. So like, what was that defining moment for you? Like spiritually, like, did someone come across your path? Did you meet someone? Did someone give you a word of encouragement? Did you have like a God miracle moment? Like, what happened?
Incidentally, it took me, the ups and downs, after moving to Nashville. It's like, I moved here to Nashville, not knowing anyone. I knew, actually, I take that back. I knew of a person here who his mom had seen me in Dallas, playing for a 4th of July event, and said, "Man, you need to meet my son." Like, well, who's your son? His name was David Lee. And he had, at that time, I looked him up, and he had written Letters from Home, which was blowing up on the radio, 19 something. He had written just a bunch of really cool songs. And I was like, man, that's what I want to go do. And he was very influential right off the bat for me. So within 7 months of moving to Nashville, not knowing anyone, I had signed a publishing deal as a songwriter, a staff writer for EMI Publishing, which at the time was the biggest publishing company in town.
Awesome.
They were the biggest dogs. And I signed writing for them for the next 3 years. And so to me, that was like, okay, well, maybe he is blessing me with this, but I still was like, I'm still working through all of that stuff in my head. The defining moment for me come even after all of that stuff. Once I was on The Voice, I was like, man, I've just went from the bottom yet again. And all of a sudden, all this stuff, when I focus on doing the music and pushing myself forward that direction, that's when I started becoming blessed. And the light bulb come above my head at that point. I was like, all right, I get it. You are the one that's helping me. And it's not just my hard work that's making this happen. It is someone steering me in that direction. And that's when I chose to sing The Old Rugged Cross on the TV show.
Oh yeah.
That's
so when I
that
saw
was the defining moment for me.
So and dude, this is so crazy. I didn't know this. And I've known you now for like 5 or 7 years. Like, that's what got me as your fan.
That's crazy.
When you sang that, because like I love the Lord. I grew up in the church, and I love all types of music. Like, you visit the Matt Rogers in '96, like I'm pumping Tupac and Biggie. You know what I'm saying? Like, now things are different, but like I love Southern rock. I love gospel. Like, I mean, you throw on some like Jimmy Swaggart. Oh, like I love it. I love it all. But when you sang Old Rugged Cross, I'm like, dude, that's my guy. I hope that guy wins. So that's cool to see like the God story behind it. So you weren't going to do that. And then you said, that's like, you made the decision, I'm going to sing that song on The Voice.
Yeah. Cause I mean, it wasn't again, it was running through that whole self-reflection time that the show allows you to go through. Or I guess you shouldn't say they allow you to. if you take the opportunity, you can do that, and that was for me was a cleansing, because I felt very jaded walking into the place originally, but I was like, if you're going to go do this, you got to throw 100% behind it, and allow myself to be vulnerable and let out some of the pain and stuff that I've been hiding or just writing about versus getting it out. But through that whole process is what really got me moving forward, and how those thoughts came into my brain. It was like, all right, it's time to I'm going to step out and hope that people understand where I'm coming from with this.
That's so rad. And were your parents alive at the time? Are they still alive?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I got both parents.
So what's their reaction? Because now it's kind of like our prodigal son has returned home. He's singing for Jesus again. Like, did you get a good response from your parents?
My mom, of course, was bawling when I told her that I was going to do that. I was like, Mom, they're even letting me have timpani players on this one. I was so excited to get to put together the whole thing, which is funny because I still have the drawings of the backdrop that we had for that, the whole staging and everything. Hi-hat, she does everything from J-Lo to whomever, the big guys. I brought her the drawing of what I wanted for the show.
Her name is Hi-hat?
Yes. She's one of the most amazing choreographers and stage set designers. Wow. But I brought her the set that I wanted drawn out, and 2 days later I walk in and there's the set on. I was like blown away. God. I was like, I was submitted it thinking maybe they would do something of the sort, but they sure did. That was really cool for me.
That's so cool.
To have the whole moment set up.
Eli loves these conversations. Eli loves when we have musicians on the show.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, that's my background. So
this is your jam right here.
I get all excited.
So that really distinguish you different than anyone else. Would you say after that you became the front runner? Or do you feel like you came in? Take me back. Okay, the voice process. Because we kind of just jumped right into your, what I think was one of your most stellar performances, the old Rugged and Cross on The Voice. Take us through the process. How did you find out about The Voice and submit and go on and all that?
Incidentally, I was at one of those down points in my life. Roller coaster was bottoming out for me. I had had a record deal and had a single on the radio. We were sitting at like number 30, I think, at that point. And I pulled back into town from like leg 4 for radio tour, which if you don't know what radio tour is, I mean, that's like going out and visiting 4 or 5 stations a day. And I was in a rental car with 2 handlers, and we were just hitting station after station, going out, basically promoting myself, trying to get those shows, going, and trying to get the song added to radio, all that good stuff. And this was, I think, again, like 3rd or 4th month in 4th radio tour.
Damn.
And I pull into town and I found out they didn't want to tell me when I was on the road, but all the funding had been pulled for that subsidiary of the label. There was a president change on the top end, and the funding wasn't there. So all of a sudden I had lost everything that I had been working on at that point. And then I was in a relationship at that point, and that went south. And
was this after your first marriage?
Yes, this was after the first marriage. This is the second long-term relationship, and it was a relationship that I'd had most of the time that I had lived in Nashville. But that went south, so I ended up sleeping on a friend's sofa for about the first a month leading up to The Voice. That's where I was at.
So when you're on the sofa, broken relationship, sounds like number 2.
Yeah, I got an email in my inbox, and it says, "Hey, are you interested in being on The Voice?" And I really thought it was a joke because it was
from who?
It was from a casting company who ended up being Michelle McNulty doing the casting on that. And I distinctly remember I simply typed back in the message because I was like, okay, do I delete this? I was like, no, this is somebody playing a prank, because I was just that down. I said, "This is a joke, right?" ? Craig Wayne Boyd. That was it.
She responded.
And about 45 minutes later, I got an email. I was like, "No, this isn't a joke, and we are going to be in town in the next 2 weeks, and we would love to have you come out and audition." I was like, "So you're telling me that I can find $5 to put in my tank, and I can drive over and do an audition?" And sure enough, and that's what got me started on it.
So you were broke.
Yeah, I was at that time was a guy named what is it? Mike Denny. He was had me helping him frame houses at that point.
Oh my God.
It's like I didn't have enough money to go out and even play shows. I couldn't go on the road because I didn't have the money to even pay for the fuel to get there. So it was like that down.
Did you want to give up? Did you say I made a mistake? All the stuff that we had just talked about, the God stuff, all this stuff you're wrestling. Is it like God has cursed me?
Yeah,
Like,
that's really what I felt like. And I had the conversation with another friend who was playing drums with me at the time. He was playing the Wild Horse Saloon and things like that. When that stuff that was here in town, his name is Johannes Greer. And we had the conversation after one night of playing a show. And I was like, dude, I'm done. I really think maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. And he had been going through stuff himself. He was like, Craig, no. I'm telling you, this is what you're meant to do. And we were sitting there, two grown men bawling our eyes out in a pickup truck. Like, it was a beat up Ford pickup truck, which I think guy from Luke Bryan's farm bought my truck.
Are you serious?
Made me sign the dash. That was after the voice stuff, but yeah, that was it was pretty intense. And that encouragement from him, and then getting the email about the voice, that was kind of like, all right, so I'm just going to refocus and see what I can do this route.
I'm gonna give this thing a shot. So
Yeah.
you show up, and did you know after your audition you nailed it? Did they tell you right away?
I
Like, you
felt
know,
really good. I just didn't know what they were looking for, and so I was like, I'm just going to go in there and be authentically me.
What'd you sing?
I sang a song, incidentally, one that a group called Blind Faith sang. It was written by Eric Clapton.
Mhm.
I want to say it was Eric Clapton and Bob Marley wrote that. And it was like, I have finally found a way to live like I've never found before. And I know I don't have much to give, but soon I'll open up that door. Everybody knows the secrets. Everybody knows the score. And I have finally found a way to live. It's in the presence of the Lord. And that
And
was,
then, like,
I
so
did
what do they
that
get?
one.
Like, do they give you the react? Because these are just the producers. It's not judges, obviously, or nothing, right?
Yeah,
Or is
no,
this
it was
casting,
no,
not
this,
producers?
This was casting, and you think it's just casting, but there was actually one of the producers that was in the room.
Nice.
Um,
You never know.
Yeah, you never
Who's in the
know. They can
room.
tell you they're whoever they are, but
You're always performing.
and so they told me to be prepped for like one song a cappella and one song with the accompaniments, somebody accompanying me there, however you say that word.
Well, how do you say it, Eli?
See, it's hard.
Accompanist?
Accompaniment. I don't know.
Accompanist?
Yeah, we'll edit all that out.
Yeah, right.
So then, did someone accompany you to another
Yes,
song?
I had been playing, doing jam sessions around town and just trying to find different things. And I'd met up with a guy named Peter Keys, who incidentally at the time he had been playing for George Clinton, and then he had hooked in with Leonard Skinner.
Wow.
And so I walk in with this guy that's just super
Peter
rock
Keys?
star, Peter
Did
Keys.
he play the piano?
Of course he did.
I'm Peter Keys. I'm a drummer.
Peter Keys went in with me for my audition, and they were like, okay, you're awesome, but who the heck is this piano player over here? I was like, he's in the band Skinnerd.
Right?
It was like anything I could find a leg up,
So
right?
did they tell you right off the bat, like, hey, we like you, you're going to the next round, or do you wait?
You're supposed to wait.
Okay.
They called me in about an hour later. So they didn't leave me hanging long,
What'd they
which
say?
was great. They said they wanted me to come, that I was going to go out to LA and do it all again.
Were you like,
And-
yes, let's go. Like, my dream is back.
Oh, yeah.
Or are you
It
still,
was-
you don't want to get too attached?
I didn't want to get too excited yet because again, I was still going through the jaded part.
Yep.
But that's when I was like, working through all of that is where I was like, okay, you got to let go of all of this stuff that's happened to you in the past, everything, all the disappointments and things, and start fresh and be that, wide-eyed kid that you used to be walking in. And I think that's what helped me get through the process and be able to really, really share my heart once it got to the main part of the show.
And then you're there. They bring you out. You're standing in that dark, dark stage. All those red chairs have their back to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
I go out there and I unbeknownst to most of the people watching the show, that thing when the chairs turn, no, that doesn't happen. So
it doesn't.
not live, it doesn't. So you're like looking around. I was like, I'm not even going to look at the chairs. And so I immediately, if you watch the performance, I walk out and I immediately go to the edge of the stage and start singing to the crowd because there's people. I was like, I'm just going to go sing to them. And I go running back across the stage and I look over this side and I'm singing over there. And then I come back and there's Blake staring at me. I was like, dude, they done turned around. What the? And then all of a sudden Pharrell turns around and I started getting excited. I think I jumped up in the air at that point. I was
And you
just
got
like,
a 2-chair turn?
yeah,
Dude,
it was,
Pharrell and Blake.
yeah.
Who didn't turn for you? Adam and who?
It was Adam and Gwen.
Adam
It
and
was
Gwen.
Gwen Stefani's first season.
What do they know?
Hey,
Rookie mistake.
Rookie mistake. So you get a 2-chair turn. You obviously choose.
I chose Blake.
Blake.
And then from there, you go through the rest of the process, and Blake let me go on the battles, and then Gwen stole me.
Rookie mistake redeemed.
Right.
And it was crazy because I had hair about like it is right now, I guess. And her and Taylor Swift both were like, you know what? You have a phenomenal voice. We'd love to cut your hair a little bit. And I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
Really?
I'm going through
Is it
everything.
like Samson cutting his locks.
Yeah,
and
I
you
was
shouldn't?
I was a little worried about that, but we chopped it up a good 6-8 inches off of the hair. I was like, you know what, hair grows. What doesn't change is my heart. And if me cutting my hair allows me to share my heart to people, then sure, why not?
Dude, hair grows. Are you sure? Can someone give me that
Right.
tip and just pray over my head that hair grows?
There we go. Right.
So you end up, you end up killing it. I mean, I just realized this first round. You were Gwen's first victory.
Yeah.
Are you her only?
No.
victory? She won
No.
since?
Actually, what happened after that is then she let me go in the next one against the reggae girl, which I totally understood. And the girl was just phenomenal.
Right.
And Blake stole me back.
Really?
He was like, oops, I should have kept you. And then I went on to win with him.
Okay, this is fascinating, bro, because he's at Craig Boyd's at his low point, broke, just gets a random email, goes and tries out, then he gets on The Voice, then he gets cut, then he gets picked up, then he gets cut again,
Yeah.
and then he gets picked up by the original guy who freaking cut him in the first place. It's like,
Oh, it's one of the biggest emotional journeys I think I've ever been on. I mean, I say that, but it was very reflective of what had went on in my life previously to that, with, going through a bad divorce, moving to Nashville, shooting way up, and then getting the record deals and touring everywhere. And then all of a sudden, boom, dropped down to nothing again.
let me
And
ask you
then get that little boost. And then you're on the show, and like from week to week, then you get dropped. You think you're going home, and then you're back again. And it's like, for me, that's all of those things when I had mentioned it earlier. Those are all those little tidbits that I could have used as a stumbling block at any point and said, you know what, I'm done. I quit.
So I can tell this about you, especially now with all the crap you've been through and all the defeats that you've felt. I presume that now in life, you definitely don't get too low on the lows, right? 'Cause
Absolutely
You've
not.
felt it to the mass capacity in some senses. Is it hard for you to get super excited or hopeful when you win? Or do you still get
Oh, I still get beside myself for every little one of them.
good? Okay, so you do.
Every single one of those. The part that I've probably learned the most is to not allow myself to get too down, because knowing that someone is watching out for me, and he's not going to let me, put more on me than I can bear. And obviously, there's much worse that could come at any moment, in my life. But I know that I can survive it because I have that strength.
I could tell by talking to you now, you've settled the religious debate on whether God's for you or against you now, right?
Absolutely.
And he is definitely for you. Even when things aren't going your way,
Right.
feeling like they're for you. How do you know that? How do you know God's for you when things aren't going your way, your dream's not working out, your work isn't being rewarded?
I mean, I will bring in, and this is something I haven't even told people. So I'm sharing something that's new, because I think all of us have been through this crazy time called COVID that's been going on, and I went from, I think it was like last March that I had a beautiful year set up show wise. We were going to have the announcement of the new band. We'd already booked a ton of shows. Everything I was going to be by this point, I was going to be doing really well. I mean, we had everything was lined up to happen. And then COVID hit and devastated. Every single show canceled. And that was for me, well, between three guys, it was over $1 million worth of money that we were supposed to be getting in.
Oh no.
You know, it was somewhere close to that range. And it's like, dude, all of a sudden, nothing. And that was a very trying time. But I would, go on. I was like, how am I going to survive this? My savings is dwindling very quickly. What savings I did have, I was relying on all of these shows and the announcement of this group and all that to help build all of that. But it was thankful that all the fans that were out there that come in and, like, unbeknownst to them, I mean, there was points where, I would go online and to play a show, and the amount of money that I needed to pay all my rent and bills and everything else would come in on that 45 minutes that I would share my heart on Facebook. And it was just mind blowing.
So you were doing online shows and people were donating to you.
Yeah, I would just put up Venmo and a PayPal, and fans would donate, and it happened 2 months in a row. I'm talking about, like, to the point of, like, electric bill not paid for a couple of months at that point. And I was like, all right, we're fixing to go dark in this house. And all of a sudden, more than enough money would come in on one show online that would
The
pay.
difference
It would
this time
would clear everything.
is a single Craig Wayne Boyd's not sleeping on his friend's couch. Now,
Yeah,
a
that's the
married
difference.
Craig Wayne Boyd with 4 kids and one on the way.
Yeah, that's a big
has to
difference.
keep the lights on for his family.
Yeah.
And this wasn't very long ago. It was less than a year ago.
Yeah, we're talking about, in the past year. And the beauty of it is that my wife, I think now, she was like, I don't know how. She's like, ever since I've been with you from the get-goes, she's like, you could have crap thrown at you literally, and you're going to come out smelling like a rose. I was like, because somebody's watching out for me. And I truly believe that,
Have you wrote a song yet, Smelling Like a Rose?
Yeah, I haven't.
There it is. Hey, things happen on Level Up,
but seriously, man, I'm telling you that that's what has strengthened my belief in the higher power, in God, because there's no way that that those are accidents, that those things
Right.
happen,
So I was going to say, tell me about your wife. Taylor freaking rocks.
Yes,
She's
she
one of
does.
the nicest people I've ever met. We really got to spend time with her at our event 2 years ago when you guys came. And my wife, Terry, was just like, I really, really love her. Like, she is a good person. When did you meet her? And how, you guys are killing it now. You guys got 4 kids together, an extra one from a previous relationship. You just had a new baby girl. Where
Yeah.
did you and Taylor meet? Because you got a winning relationship.
It was really crazy. I had went through won the TV show, and then they fly you overnight to New York, and went there and did press, and then they wanted me to come back the next day. So I got back up the next morning, did I think Good Morning America, and then we get a call and said, Ellen wants you in LA at 4 this afternoon. And at that point, I think I was the only one that from The Voice that had done Ellen, and she requested me to be out there. I was like, holy crap. So we got to do this show, get to the airport as quickly as possible, because we got to be back in LA, the other side of the country, at 4 in the afternoon. And so luckily, no, we barely made it, but we did make it. And I got a call right after that from a friend of mine, a songwriter here in town. He was in LA. He's like, dude, I got this call. Again, I was a single man.
Right.
He's like, I got a Christmas party that's for one of the modeling agencies in town, and it's like the biggest one, and you gotta go. He's like, it's like a who's who of all these.
It's a modeling agency, and you're
It's
a
like-
single star on
Yeah,
the biggest
it's
show
like-
on television. You gotta go.
I'm like, why? Of course I'm going. I'm still on the adrenaline.
Don't twist
from-
my arm. Okay, I'll go.
So we get there, and it's funny. He had one of the guys that was with us had just had an incident. I'll tell off on him. Blue Foley was one of the guys with me, and he had just had an incident where he jumped in. They were all partying, and he went to jump in a pool and hit his tooth, knocked his front tooth out. And so he was missing
Ouch.
he was missing a front tooth. And mind you, all this group of straight up, we looked like hillbillies. I mean, other than me, I was dressed, to the hilt, but all these country dudes walking the red carpet at a modeling agency party, Christmas party. It was quite the sight. But we're like halfway down the red carpets and all that good stuff. And I look down at the end and I see this bright shining, just like, oh, exactly. It's like, there's my angel. I turned to my buddy and I was joking about it. I was like, that's the one I'm marrying. And
Said that?
I did. And once I met her that night, we were pretty much inseparable after that. She was something in common. That year I went to the Rose Bowl, and that was for New Year's Day, right? I believe New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, something like that, which was my birthday. It was New Year's Day because I invited her. That was our first date. It was like I was sitting the bar high, man.
Baller move, bro.
I'm
First date. Hey, I'm performing at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah,
Whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah,
Come with me.
And another connection was that the whole day we hung out with Warren Moon. He was on the golf
Warren
cart.
Moon?
Yes, he was on the golf cart with us the whole
One
day.
of my favorite football players.
Hanging
of all
out,
time.
man.
He's a Washington Husky like me.
Sure enough, that was. I set the bar way too high. I think I was like,
But you could
I was
tell.
like, this is the woman I'm going to marry.
And she was feeling you from the get go.
Oh yeah, we had that later that night. We were having a conversation. I was like, "What are you doing for the holidays?" She's like, "I'm going to be in a deer stand." Duh. I was like, "I think I love you."
Let's go.
I was like, "You're this stunning, beautiful, model-esque woman, and you're like telling me that you're going to be in a deer stand over the holidays."
So where is she from? Nashville?
No, she was born and raised in L.A., but all of her family lives in Oklahoma.
So she is a country girl.
Oh yeah, so she spent all of her time, on the summers and stuff down in Oklahoma.
How many times? So the song that you sang when you won was "My Baby's Got a Smile on Her Face." How many times did you look at Taylor and be like, "My baby's got a smile"?
Oh, the cheese came out for that one. Come on,
Dude, I love it, man.
During that time was when I found out that song debuted at #1, which is at this point been the only #1. But that record tied with Garth Brooks at that time. He was the only one.
What song did he have?
His was "More Than a Memory." So it wasn't until 2007, and that chart was started in 1959.
I don't even have that song in my memory, so it must have been that good.
It was one. Incidentally, I think it was Jared Neiman wrote that one. It was in 2007, and I think since then Morgan Wallen just tied the record also. So it's us three.
Wow.
This is his song, bro.
He's pulling it up on the old cell phone.
Dude,
man.
this
That's
song
awesome.
was the jam. This is what he made. Here we go. It's so good, dude. So they can still download that. Explain this leather jacket that you're rocking there with the red and black. You look.
Oh
nice.
yeah, man. That's very superhero-esque, isn't it?
It is. Do you still have that?
I wanted that jacket. That was.
You look like a country a Deadpool right there with a long blonde hair.
It's a little bit Thorish in that picture, I think. But
You are the man. So how long after you met her and took her to the Rose Bowl did you get married?
it was about a year after that, but I asked her within, I think, 5 months.
How long did it take you to say "I love you" and her back?
I did that first night.
No, but like,
no, it was a joke, but I really did.
You
It was
really
like,
did?
because when she said she was going to be in a deer stand, I was like, I think I love you. I was like,
so
Bro.
honestly, so inseparable.
yeah.
And she, I mean, like,
I even asked her if I could kiss her at the end of the night. I was like, can I kiss you?
And what'd she
I was
say?
Like, she said yes. Absolutely. I was like, dude, come on.
when was that? 2014.
Yeah, that was right. I think that was December the 20th.
So y'all been married 6.5 years. You've been together somewhere around 7-8 years.
No, we got married in, what was that? That would have been 2016 in April.
Nice.
April 21st.
There you go.
Yeah. So we just had an anniversary.
Hey, happy anniversary.
But we're going to celebrate that in a month or so.
Good for you. I can, and that's the thing. Like,
the
dude,
baby being born, that week. So-
y'all are past the honeymoon stage. What's the honeymoon stage? First 2 years?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, they're past the honeymoon stage. She
That was
really, really loves him, dude. Like she loves. You could tell, like certain wives, like they're just like, oh, that's my husband, and especially after you get like 10 years, it's just kind of like, oh, that's my husband. They're loyal, they're good people, but there's not sparks. There's no sparks there. There's no electricity. Dude, they got sparks. They got electricity. That's
obviously, kid number 5.
No, but like I can tell, like the way you guys look at each other, like how affectionate people are. Like you can tell a lot of a relationship by the way the husband and wife talk about the other person behind their back.
Yeah.
If they edify them or if they do passive aggressive jokes, and which we do that like fun stuff, but like they build each other up. Like she builds you up. Like you can tell she, like men, we want to feel admiration. We want to know we did a good job. We want to be our wives' knight in shining armor. And it's very important for the wives to tell us that. In year 1 and in year 21. And she does that really well for you, dude. She
absolutely. That's one of the beautiful things of one of the many beautiful things of our relationship is that was something that I felt like I had always missed in a relationship. Everything else, is like they could be beautiful. They could, they have good conversation, things like that, which, but I'm trying to think of how to say it without it sounding weird, but it's basically not that I need you, but I want you.
Yeah.
It's not that, that's what, for her, for me, that's the way she is for me. She's like, it's not that I need you, but I want you. And that's the cool part.
That's rad. So tell us now. So after The Voice, and here's what people think. And this is what I thought when I was on American Idol. Even though I didn't win, the phone's ringing, stuff like, people, everyone wants to be a part of this event, that event, come sing for me here, there. And then for me, I don't know if it was for you, but like all the people that I thought were going to help me disappeared. All the opportunities that I thought I had, the phone stopped ringing. And I'll never forget, man, it was about 2 or 3 weeks after American Idol for me. And it was just quiet. And I was like, what am I going to do now? Like nobody cared anymore. And I had to recreate myself. I had to do something. I've always worked and went back to it. Like for you, was it like that? Like
it took a little bit longer. I guess, and I don't want to sound conceited with that, but winning,
you won.
Yeah, winning the show. It took a little bit longer, but the premise is still the same. And yes, that happens. Luckily enough, once I had made the show, and I knew I was going to be on the show. I didn't know I was going to win, but I knew I was going to be on the show. I immediately started reaching out to other contestants that had been on the show previously and been on other reality shows, and was like, all right, guys, what's the real backstory on this? Because I need to know what to do. And so I started setting up at that point. I went out and I was like, I know that they're not going to put me with a booking agent right off the bat. So let's find a booking agent. Let's get shows lined up now. Let's start getting all of this stuff in place, start putting together my team, making sure that I had all this other stuff together, because I knew that they're not just going to hand it to you. What they're giving you when you go on a reality show is the ability to work harder. Yeah. And giving you the tools, and those people that's what they're there for, is to help hand you more tools to make it easier for you to work. And luckily enough, I took the advice from the other contestants and of the folks that had fallen on their face or thought that it was going to be something huge, and they were like, man, it wasn't this. And I took that to heart, and I think that's what kept me going. It didn't slow down for me for about 3 years. And that's
a long time, dude.
I felt very privileged that was the case. But even with that, not landing back into a larger record deal and things like that, just had to really find something that made me happy at that point. And that's when I was back down, like, all right, Craig, what are you going to do? What's going to make this all come back to life again? And was diving into some of the TV stuff for a second. And the movie just come out, Roe versus Wade. I got to go out and do that. So I was trying to branch out a couple of different things. And then sitting down in the garage with my wife, I was like, you know what? I want to do music like I did before with the vocal group stuff. And she's like, who? Like, it hasn't been done yet, babe.
Did you know it was going to be Casey and Adam or no?
I did.
Because I remember you and I had lunch at Wild Ginger having some sushi. This is like maybe 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And you're like, I got this idea. of reaching out to former musicians and contestants that were on American Idol or on The Voice that were really good, but maybe did or didn't win, and they're not
Yeah.
really known or doing much.
Yeah,
right
and
now.
start like trying to help them like navigate like you and
Yes.
I have done from
Right.
these things and find a way. One of the reasons I even came to you about that was not only because you're doing that also, but that I knew that you had the drive like I do, and I was like, man,
Me and
we-
Craig Wayne Boy
we
work
could-
hard, baby.
we could start like a seminar about how to, and it's not even about what to do, it's about the mentality.
Yeah.
Help people find that mentality of using what's around you to create something new, because it is. I mean, even this past week, going through my phone, I'm calling people to do something, to put something together that I haven't talked to in 3 or 4 years, but I knew that I left those relationships in a good standing.
Yeah.
And they immediately answered the phone and we're like, all right, let's game plan on this thought. Those are things that you've got to remember. Like, it's okay to call that number that they gave you. They didn't give you that number for no reason.
Yep.
That's
one thing I've learned over the years, because in my teens, I wouldn't say I've never been a bridge burner, but I became more wiser in my 20s, 30s, and then obviously now being 42. But I never get nervous when someone calls me or I have to reach out to someone, because I really look back and I learned this at a young age. From a football standpoint, you treat the equipment manager the same way you treat the owner.
Yeah.
And I've always done that from the producers, whether it's a production assistant or the CEO of a network. So I've always felt comfortable reaching out to people, and that's just a lesson. Don't burn bridges. Don't, and there's been tough conversations you have to have, and you just have them straight up, in the bad times. But it's so refreshing to be able to reach out to people and be like, no, I'm good with this person.
Yeah.
And they'll at least give me 5 minutes to, pitch them whatever I have or ask for a favor or whatever. So that's awesome that you did that, man.
It's it's been crazy with that kind of those thoughts going on. It's like, dude, yeah, I can do that. You can reach out.
And then did you call Casey and Adam and say, let's do this? Or did you say, let's get together? Or?
Yeah. So what we had done is, it happened over a good 6-8 month process. Adam went out with me, to, I want to say, it was Tampa, Florida. And he had opened up for me out there, and it was so funny. I was on the bus getting ready, and he was playing. And Taylor comes running on the bus, and she's very blunt. And that's great about her. She's like very honest. She was like, Craig, whatever you do, I know you love to do it. Don't ask him to come sing with you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, he's gonna school you. I was like, no, he won't. No, there's no way. So of course, there's that video out there.
So you didn't listen to her?
Absolutely not. I
So
was like, no, because
how come you guys just can't sing together? Why did it have to be a competition?
that's what I thought. To me, I was like, it's not a competition. We're going to go up there and sing together, and we're going to have fun.
Right.
And it's actually exactly what happened. We had so much fun. And that moment stuck with me. And I had ran into Casey at.
But wait, real quick. In that moment when you're on the stage with Adam, did you ever get insecure? Like, oh crap, this guy's unbelievable, or was it like, oh, this is awesome, man, he's unbelievable?
For me, that's the way I've always approached music. Is it's never, even when I was in the competition. To me, it wasn't ever a competition. You only do you stay in your lane. You do what you do. And that's the only thing you can do is focus on doing your best. And then whatever else happens is what happens. So when we got up there, what I love to do is sing harmonies. So I was like, dude, take the lead, go for it. I'm going to sing harmonies behind you. And it sounded so stinking cool. It was, for me, it was a blast, And we did the little cutting heads at the end. I had his guitar player get up and my guitar player, and they cut heads against each other, and then we vocal acrobated at each other, and
people loved it.
People loved it.
Oh,
it was like one of those moments, like, dude, I could have fun with this guy on stage, and I kept that in the back of my brain. I was at an event wearing a cowboy hat, and Casey walks in, and he and I both being from Texas. He immediately walks over. He's like, you got to be from Texas. I'm like, of course I am. I was like, and we immediately hit it off like we had known each other for, 30 years or something. And we got to chatting, and it was like, yeah, I just got married. And he was like, oh, dude, me too. Where's she from? I was like, from LA. He's like, so is my wife. He said, what area? I was like, from Valencia. So is my wife.
No way.
And
you guys were married to the same woman.
Yeah, right. We were in trouble. But even better,
Taylor, how could you? No.
even better, they were elementary and junior high
Come on.
friends. And
Are you serious?
This is the truth. Yeah. It was the craziest small world ever.
God does love you, bro.
So we brought them over to the house to hang out. And of course, food leads to playing music, right? That's my life. So we were sitting around playing guitars and started singing together. I was like, man, this is crazy. We got such unique voices. And I've always been a fan of him. I remember watching him on Idol. And yeah, so we sat around and started playing music. I was like, dude, this guy's cool. That night I mentioned it to him. I was like, dude, have you ever thought about doing like some kind of group thing?
Was this before or after you and I had that wild ginger sushi conversation?
This was almost probably about the same week.
Wow.
Because this is when I first had the idea.
That's so crazy.
And that I had met a couple other contestants from shows and stuff. And that's where it started really getting me. I was like, man, everyone's a little bit lost, you know? And of course, Casey had his career he was rocking at that moment. And that was a big inspiration because he was out with, I think, George Clinton or I forget who he was out with. I can't remember. It was in the blues world, but he had just done this big tour and everything, playing blues music. Kind of steering away from the country music stuff.
Paul Abdul loved him.
Oh yeah. It was awesome. But yeah, man. So I called them up and it took a month or two until we got in the room together finally to sing. Cause I'd called them individually and was like, hey dude, I got this other guy. I know he's committed and totally fibbing. Now they'll know. I was like, and I didn't even have a yes from either one of them, but I was telling them that the other one was saying yes, just because I was trying to get everybody together. And
I'm just realizing now I'm hurt that, he never asked me to be a part of the trio. I guess, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. So you get the three of you together and it's just like the first note or something, or were you just like, I'm a genius?
It really did feel that way. Because
I was right.
We knew that all three of us knew harmonies. We all had been playing music since we were single digits, and playing with family bands and the whole shebang. It was weird how much of our stories just aligned up together. And yeah, so then we flipped parts. Everybody sang a different part. And in the blend, when we sang together, sounded the same as when we were all singing the different parts.
That's so cool.
But our voices were so unique individually. I was like, man, that doesn't happen very often. It's like
Texas Hill was
born. At that point.
So where, and I don't know how to describe the different ranges or harmony or, soprano and all that stuff. Like, what are you in the group and what is Casey and what is Adam?
Casey is he's usually lead part, like rather sings lead or high harmonies. Adam sings all three, and I'm usually low harmony or lead. There's some of the times where we'll have Casey on the bottom and I'll be right above him and Adam will be up higher, which is a little different. But any of those arrangements though, vocally, it all still sounds like Texas Hill.
All right. So just on the spot, like how do you harmonize? So I'm just going to sing Happy Birthday and then you start and you go on top of whatever I sing. Okay. Cause I love harmony because I don't know how to do it. I stay in my lane. Like you said. So if I go, oh, Johnny's here. Let's sing Happy Birthday to Johnny. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Johnny. Happy birthday to you. Gosh, can you do it?
Dude, we got to send that to Johnny.
Wait, can you do something or no?
I'm such a bad singer, man.
You are? I thought you were a musician.
I can do anything else, but singing, I just never did it.
Dang, all right.
That's not true. I'm an okay
I wish I could do. Okay, now this is why I can't do it. Now we're gonna flip it. You sing lead, and I'm gonna try to harmonize on top of you. Watch how bad this is.
Really
I
bad.
can't do it. All right, go for it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
I can't do it.
Oh,
I
man.
suck so bad, and it's so frustrating.
You had the first two notes right.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try it one more time. Seriously. Because me and my buddy Nick used to do this all the time because he can harmonize and I can't. It drives me crazy. And we would do Blaze of Glory by Bon Jovi.
Dude.
And it was so fun, but I don't know. How to do
that's
it. Okay,
hilarious.
but it's fun. I want to see how bad I sound. Go for it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Dude.
Dude. Oh, I hate sucking at things.
That's all right. You're good at other
Harmony and golf. Just, I love them both, but I suck at both of them.
Hey,
But
but
I'll
guess
keep
what?
trying.
You can be the best announcer ever.
There we go.
Let's see.
I'll stay in my lane. Touchdown, Craig Wayne boys. There we go. Dude, I love you, bro. So how can people follow you and see Texas Hill in
Oh, my
action
goodness.
now that COVID is dead? I'm saying it now. COVID's dead. I had it back early on. I still can't smell. My taste is about a 6 out of 10.
Oh, wow.
But I still got the antibodies. COVID's over. How can people follow you, watch you, and see a show?
For all things Craig Wayne Boyd, CraigWayneBoyd.com. For all things Texas Hill, TexasHillOfficial.com. And from there, you can find all of the socials, the Facebooks and the Twitter and Instagrams. And I hear that we're thinking about starting a TikTok, but we got to get that figured out yet.
You got to do TikTok. I don't do it enough, but it's like the thing. You got to do it.
Yeah, you know.
And you're funny, dude. And you guys are such personality. Like, just make funny TikToks.
Oh, yeah.
They feel, because guys like you and me, like, it feels so stupid. Like, why does someone want to watch me walk upstairs? But if you do it funny, my freaking kids will stare at videos of people walking upstairs and tripping it, like, or singing and like making fart noises. Like, they love it.
It's being with these boys. I mean, they keep me in stitches nonstop.
That's why you got to do it.
So we got to find a way to keep it, you know, a little bit more PG, and it'll be hilarious.
PG-13. People will love you.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, I love you, man. You are a good friend.
You,
Thank you so
man.
much. Congratulations on your new baby girl. And, you know, if you're really my friend, you will subscribe to Level Up, Craig Wayne Boyd, and
Absolutely.
you will like and you will share and you will tell other people to like, share, and give us a 5-star rating.
Absolutely, guys. Do that. Just that.
No, because like for us, like as this is growing, Eli's doing all the analytics. Like he's like, dude, you really need to ask people to give you a 5-star rating because that's how it puts us on the map. So please, right now, just take 30 seconds and give us a 5-star rating. Give us a like, give us a share, especially on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, because that's where we're really, really blowing up.
Let's get this level up going, y'all. Come on.
Come on. I love you guys. I love you, Craig Wayne Boyd. Thank you so much. Craig Wayne Boyd, y'all, is in the house. And this has been another edition of Level Up.